I forgot how this is very strong and it stains, so now I have a stain on my finger. So if you see that, is what I put on. I completely forgot. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing great as always. So of course, by the change you can notice we're going to be talking a lot today, which I'm not used to, and I always have my water in front of me just in case, because I am still not used to these videos. So this wasn't in my plans, and I think I said that in the last video that I posted like this. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I saw this and I was left with more questions than answers, and even thought I researched a bit about this series, nothing really was helping me get answers to my questions. So I was like, hey, I need to make a video of this because there must be a person out there that have seen this and that I can answer my questions, or at least we can all try and answer them together, because I left this very confused after watching it. I really want to understand that because I feel there's something behind it, but I can't, and I have tried and I can't. So I was like, I'm doing this to see, because I'm just curious at this point. So I am talking about a series that I watched on Netflix, of course, and it is called Nightflyers. Now this is not a Korean or Asian series at all, and it is described, as I searched it when I finished it, an American horror science fiction television show. That description fits. I'm just confused, but this one is actually premiered in 2018, but it was just recently added on Netflix. It has one season and it is 10 episodes, and they're about an hour long. A lot happens, but at the same time not that much happens. I feel like episodes could be half an hour and still shorter, but okay. We will start talking about this, and then at the end I will get all my questions out there, see if we can all get answers for it. So as always, we start with the beginning of everything. The whole first episode starts with a fighting scene between Agatha and Rowan. That's the name. I'm gonna start mentioning names, but explanations will come later, because this part was no explanation whatsoever. We didn't really know who those two were until later. But she is running away from him. She is able to hide, and she has a recorder where she's recording a message. I think she was saying to not board the ship and to not bring the Nightflyer back to Earth. And after she's able to send this recording to space, she kills herself, and then it goes back in time. I don't remember how much time, but it goes back, and we meet Carl, and he is picked for a mission, and it was to go to space with, as the mission names, Melanta, Lumi, Tail, and Agatha. And they are going to try and have contact with the Vulcan. And this is a mythical race in space. That's how they describe the Vulcan. Tail, which is one of the ones that I just mentioned, he's an L1. He can control people with his mind. He can make people see stuff that aren't really there and kill them, essentially, like that. And the people on the ship aren't really happy that he's there. Agatha is his psychiatrist, I guess you could call her, and she helps him throughout the whole episodes and stuff to not hurt people. But yeah, he's necessary because he's the one that is actually going to make contact with the Vulcan when they find him. So the captain of the ship that they are there is Roy Aries, and he never leaves his room. He is projected almost all the series as a hologram, but he doesn't leave his room. There is cameras all around that he can watch everybody work. And then there's another character. There's a lot of people here. more than usual. There's another one called Aggie, which he's a chief engineer, but he's sort of like the second in command in my opinion, because he's always he follows Aries orders, but he can also make his own orders if it's necessary. As soon as the ship moves and the mission starts, weird stuff happens in the ship. They're having trouble with the system, temperatures is either warm, very cold, just weird things, hallucinations already. They have this machine that they can access their memories to, which Carl uses a lot to see his daughter, his family. That's another part that is confusing, but we will get to it. And he starts hallucinating that his daughter is there, stuff throughout the whole series really. And people think that Tail has to do with it, but Agatha is like, no, he cannot control electronics. Melanta, she's there to help Carl. She really wasn't born. She was made genetically. And then Lumi, she has a port on her arm that she uses to connect to the ship and be able to like access the systems and stuff. So that is like the role essentially. So Tail at some point escapes where they have him. He doesn't feel safe, and he does end up attacking a few people, but they're able to catch him and they decide to sedate him, and they're like, we're gonna put you to sleep. Even with Tail asleep, weird things happening, so that should be confirmation that it is not him. And then Lumi at some point is trying to talk to the ship by the port, figure out why everything is happening, but she has, I was going to say mental breakdown, but it wasn't that. There was something in the system that made her get out, and that's literally what she said. She was like, it wasn't me, the system was literally telling me to get the fuck out. So because at this point everybody is kind of losing hope because of everything that is happening, Carl asked Rowan to release something called the White Rabbit to space, which hopefully it is to get pictures from the Vulcan. I don't know how this is gonna help, but he does it. There's this little bit of a relationship that happens between Lumi and Melanta, because they do end up sleeping together a couple times. That relationship is really not important, other than Melanta is using Lumi to get close to Aries for some goddamn reason. She lets Aries watch them sleep together in the cameras, of course. I don't know how that's gonna make her close to Aries, but it does. I didn't understand that. And also that relationship is going to sort of destroy Lumi later on and make her do things that she shouldn't do. That's the only thing that I see this relationship being important for this story. Other than that, there's nothing else really. Later on we also meet another person. It is a lot. And she's called Tessia. I never understood her. I want answers of why she was important to this, because I never understood. But she works with the outside. There's this outside part in the ship that literally looks like you're outside, and she works there. She's always surrounded by bees. The way that they make Aries get out of the room and like literally be present in front of everybody is the ship needs some kind of reboot. Don't ask me why. I don't think they explain it properly, but it does. And Melanta ends up doing it manually because it has to be done manually. And when she wakes up after, she is like, I saw Aries, the real one, in flesh in front of me, and everybody's like, no, that is not true. And then in that same place, a member from the ship comes, and he is the one that survived the spider thingy attack, and he's already lost. He's like, I want this ship to around, there's something out there, you guys don't want to hear it, you guys don't want to believe it, but this and that. And the first thing that Aries does is kill him in front of everybody, snap his head and just kill him, and everybody's like, Aries is here. and he just killed somebody. That's a great way to introduce yourself in flesh to your whole people in the ship. Just kill somebody. For some goddamn reason, Ares and Melanta got together and they have a really strong connection together. But Melanta can tell Ares there's something haunting him because he can hear voices in his head. And that's when he confesses to her that his mother died, and she, how did he say that? She uploaded herself to the ship, which is the reason why he can hear her. And she's in the crystal. There's this crystal that gives power to the ship. She's in that crystal that is in his room, which is probably the reason why he never left his room. So the reason why weird thing is happening on the ship is because of his mother. Again, Ares tell her the whole spiel about his story, his mom wanting to be in the ship and all that stuff. Not really important, but yeah. They sleep together, by the way. Nothing new. So the white rabbit thingy that they released to space is back, and it is on Car's room. And Rowan, Lumi, and Car, they're starting to do tests on it, see what it found. And this makes Ares' mom angry. Now her name is Cynthia, by the way. That's the name of Ares' mom, and she's angry. She starts killing people on the ship. She starts making the room very, very hot, and they still are testing this white rabbit thing. They find that the white rabbit can bleed. It has flesh inside of it, and when they analyze it, it is Carl's DNA in that white rabbit. And they take samples. Lumi ends up connecting herself to that white rabbit, and when she's able to disconnect herself, it starts to bleed crazy. Literally, they're like, it is dying, we cannot let it die, but they cannot do anything about it, really. So when that happens and the white rabbit is like destroyed, Lumi talks to Carl and she's like, the message that the Vulcan wanted to give you is that thing, bringing it back with your DNA. Lumi decides that she wants to connect herself to the crystal so they can trap Cynthia, so she cannot do anything else. And Tel is going to be close by because he can access her mind just in case something goes wrong. He can pull her out of the system so she can disconnect herself, because they cannot disconnect her if she's in the system. She does end up leaving Cynthia in a room that is with her father, where she's supposed to be a monster, but she does end up leaving a fragment of Cynthia as a kid. It is supposed to be a fermented side of her that is not well coded, but she ends up leaving it outside because she's like, nothing's going to happen, and she kind of feels bad for the child. Yeah, at least when she does this, Ares cannot hear her mother's voice anymore, so that means it worked and she has no control over the ship anymore. At this point, Lumi is already hurt by Melanta and what she did, and you see her to get close to Ares and all of that, so she spends more time inside the crystal. She said it's to patch things up to make sure that Cynthia cannot leave, but in reality she's also building a whole nother world just for her with people in it and everything. And she spends more time there than on the outside on the ship helping with the mission. We also find out of a student that Augie, he has been the couple already. We have seen him throughout the whole thing, but at this point he becomes more interesting because we figure out that he is in love with Cynthia. Cynthia was the captain before she died, and there is took control, so he is still in love with her. He has photos and everything in her room, in his room, and when he finds out that Cynthia is still alive in the crystal, he makes a mission of himself to bring her out of there. What? She's dead, but he wants her back. He's like, you are the only captain that can leader this ship. I'll help you. So he already has a mission of his own to try and get her out. So while they're on space still, they find this other ship that they realize is from Aurora project mission. Cannot speak anymore. And they get this idea that if the crystal from that ship is still intact, they can switch the crystals. So Cynthia will stay in that other ship on space forever, and they can have the other new crystal and keep going without her on the mission, and nothing else will happen. So Aggie, Melanta, Lumi, Ron, and Carl are the ones that get out the ship and go to the other one to see if the crystal is there still working. They find a bunch of women there. This is a very weird part. But they find a bunch of women there, and one of them is leader Constance, which Melanta knew about. She is very popular apparently. Melanta is a fan of her, learned a lot from her and stuff. So there's two things that happen in this part. One, Aggie destroys the crystal because of course he doesn't want Cynthia to leave the ship, and Lumi knows about it but she doesn't say anything. They kind of, which also makes sense because Lumi has built already her own world in that crystal, so she wouldn't also wanted it to be switched. And two, the woman, they say we're sustainable, we make our own food, we grow it, we have lived here for all these years alone, and there's no men around. And it is because they meet, but it is because they kill all the men. What they do is they put the men in a room, and badly enough Aggie and Rowan are in this room with another man. I feel bad for them, but they have a machine. How do I explain this? They have a machine. I don't even know how to explain this, and there's no way I can put this in so you understand. But they, finding words, they essentially just make them finish. Is that a way to say it? I was trying to find so hard to describe this scene, but they use their little friends. I don't know how to explain this, but they use it to create other humans, their little friends that they take out when they finish. The point is, they use them to create other humans that they grow and eat later on. So they eat humans that they create with these men, and it's not sex. They don't have sex, but it's a machine that makes them finish. I think that's the best way I can describe this. It is weird, and when I saw it, I was like, that's disgusting. Either way, those women are gonna die because Lumi ends up killing Constance in front of everybody. She from the start had a bad feeling. She was trying to communicate it. Nobody listened to her. She was right. She ends up killing that woman, and they all can leave. And they're like, no, the crystal didn't work together. It just didn't work, and they just left. So Carl and Agatha sleep together, and this whole thing is important because while they're sleeping together, Carl finds out right there that Agatha is an L1 like tail, and she uses suppressors, but they're not working with double triple dose because they're getting so close to the Volcran. There's this energy that is happening that the suppressors are not working for her, and that's why she can use her powers and have no control over them. So 8 months pass in the Nightflyer. They still aren't close to the Volcran at all. Carl is still studying the DNA that they got from the white rabbit to try use it to communicate with the Volcran. Rowan and Tess are having a baby. That's happening. Agatha is still having trouble controlling her powers. The closer they get to the Volcran. The same thing is happening with Tell. Melantis worry about their mission because everybody has drifted away and nobody's kind of focused on the mission other than Carl really. And Lumi is just more inside the build world that she did in the crystal rather than outside helping. So this baby thing between Rowan and Tessia are weird because Tell is like there's something happening with that baby. That baby doesn't sound normal. There's something wrong with that baby. And Rowan is in a room with Tessia and another woman that is kind of like the doctor. And she's like, yeah, we have to, this baby has to born now and he's going to die. I think that's basically what she said. But yeah, the point of this baby is that when is born, and Tessie is in the room, Aries and the other woman that is a doctor. Rowan is outside, in another part of the room. And when that baby is born, it disintegrates literally in Tessie's arms. And they immediately are like, this is not good, this can be a virus or something. And they close the room in emergency to quarantine them. And of course, this makes Rowan go insane. Completely insane. And they're like, Rowan, you need to calm down. You need to work on an antidote because there is something wrong here. And if you create the antidote, you can give them to them and they can get out and nothing is going to happen. So of course he starts working. He and Tessie on the other side is helping him. Agatha is like feel like she's dying because of the whole thing that she cannot control her powers, and there's this thing that she keeps hearing throughout the whole ship. And it is the thing in the room when Carl takes her to that room so they can help her. She sees that the whole wall, crystal wall, is just a bunch of black stuff. It looks like mold, and she's like, this is what I'm hearing. They're trying to break the glass and kill us all. So she is the one that ends up pressing to decontaminate the room. The thing is, when you do that, the people in there die. So when she did that, Tessia died, the other woman died, but Ares didn't die. Is still alive. And again, it doesn't make sense because they're supposed to die. But it doesn't. He's decontaminated, he's fine, but he didn't die. So Cynthia gets out of the place that Lumi took her. The little girl that Lumi didn't get in the room helps Cynthia to get her out of the room, and they end up getting Lumi in that room with the father. And Cynthia ends up taking Lumi's body in the ship so she can move around and do her stuff. So now Cynthia is inside Lumi's body in the ship, and when Augie finds this out, he starts helping Lumi / Cynthia get control on the ship. We are at the end-ish at this point of the series. If you feel confused, don't worry. I was the same. Didn't understand anything. So they do end up reaching where the Volcrons are. They're very close to them. There's a lot of them, literally just a bunch of dots in the machine that they used to see them. There's a bunch more than they thought. Tail does end up trying to communicate with them, but Tail is like having a hard time. He's like, it feels like it's music. There's a lot of worlds, and there's a lot of death and rebirth. And that's what he ends up telling Carl when he is able to talk a bit with the Vulcan. Rowan ends up going on a killing spree. he's trying to hunt down Agatha and Eris because he feels like they are the ones that killed Tessia. So the scene that we saw at the beginning on the first episode happens again, and that's how Agatha sends that message to space and kills herself. And when she does that, Tail all of a sudden can control his powers. Agatha is dead, so Rowan goes and finds Eris. And in front of everybody, he's literally killing him. And he's like, why don't you die? Because Eris is not fully human. He is like part human, part robot. I don't even know how to describe him because he's really not fully human. And when Melanta takes him to his room, he's like open the door and she ends up taking his eye. Again, he's not fully human, and she uses it to open the door. When she opens that door, she sees the real Eris. He looks like an alien. The first time I saw it, I thought he was a Volcran. I was like, he's a Volcran all this time. Why is he helping? But no, he's not really a Volcran. He looks like an alien. Definitely don't understand fully why he is. Lumi / Cynthia appear, and Lumi / Cynthia starts talking, and she's like, yeah, when I died, I needed something real to keep going with the ship, because something real can have rights, and she needed that, so she created Eris. And then we also figure out that the DNA genetic thingy that made Melanta came from Cynthia for Melanta to be created. So in a way, Melanta and Eris are brother and sister. They have slept together. They have kissed. They have a connection. She's like, yeah, that's why you guys have such a strong connection, because you're both made from my genetics. I almost threw my phone across the room when that happened. I swear I almost did. So Rowan and Carl talk because Carl wants Rowan's help so they can communicate with the Volcran. They talk as if Rowan hasn't tried to kill everybody on the ship. Literally. Rowan is like, I cannot. Didn't you see what I did? And Carl's like, I don't care. I need you. Come on here and help me. And I'm like, didn't you see he almost killed people? And you're okay, he killing people just went out the trash. He didn't care. At the end, finishing this whole thing up, Carl gets in an airlock mini ship thingy that gets out of the ship. It's like the thing that they use to escape when something goes wrong. And it was something that Lumi / Cynthia was going to use to get out of there. Literally, she didn't care about Augie at all. And when Augie finds this, he ends up taking her and put her to sleep, because he's like, you're not leaving me. He's kind of obsessed with her at this point. But Carl gets into this mini ship, that's how I'm gonna call it, to get to the Volcran. Hell uses his powers to communicate with the real Lumi that is inside the crystal, because now there's something wrong with the system or something, and they need to reboot it from the inside, but that's going to cause some problems with the system and trouble with the temperature. Something it's gonna cause a lot of troubles. So Lumi is going to reboot it from the inside of the crystal, and they'll end up hurling together in a ball in the middle of a room to kind of keep warm until that reboot happens. So the ship ends up like that. That's the end for the ship. We don't know what happened to them. We don't know anything else. Who knows if it ended up like the other ship from the other program. That's all. With Carl, he keeps going the direction where the Volcrans are. It's getting close, and he can feel the whole energy, and then in a split of a second, and he's back home with his wife and his daughter, which is alive and happy and he ends up being in that place forever. And that's how it ends. The thing that I understood about the whole point of this mission was to have communication with the Vulcan, because the thing that Carl's daughter died from is making the earth sick. Like, everybody's getting sick from it now, and they thought having communication with the Vulcan would help them to get in the place that they live, or give them a place on space that they can live on, and then bring the people from Earth that are not sick there. I think that was the whole mission, but still I was left with more questions and answers, and we are going to get into that now. Now, if anybody has seen this on Netflix or anywhere else, please help me out here, because I really want to understand it. I have a feeling that there's a lot more. I cannot figure it out. Again, a lot happens, and I wrote down on my question because I didn't want to miss anything. A lot happens, but I feel like half of it is not really necessary. It just feels like fillers. It confuses you. It just doesn't make sense or help the story at all. That is just me. I was watching it and I was like, why is this important? What is happening? One thing that I'm sure of, it has to do with memories. Or memories at least are a key to it, because in so many episodes Carl is having a lot of memories or hallucinations with his daughter, and that other machine that they use for the memories is the thing that Cynthia was using a lot to have control of the people on the ship. So I feel like memories are like a main thing there that probably has to do with the Vulcans, but it's not worth playing for me to understand. Again, it's just like half of the story or less than half has to do with the Vulcan, and then that's like put to the side and be like, this is not important anymore. It focus on the Rowan thing, and then at the end it's like, oh wait, the Vulcan, and they piece it together at the end. So it became the Vulcans, tried to help them, and done. There's a lot of information thrown at you, but there's not enough time to develop it in a way that we can understand it. At least I can understand it, and I tried. I rewind some parts and be like, I'm gonna pay attention. Doesn't make sense. Like, for example, they have two at once, which is Teo and Agatha. They do that just to have to kill one so the other one can control the powers. The tech energy, because that's how they call it, the tech energy. I'm guessing that's it, because Agatha being an L1 didn't make sense. It just, I think there was a story behind it, but it didn't make sense. So that's one thing. Also, Rowan, he tried to kill the whole ship, and then at the end it's like he did nothing. Like, he's like, I'm accepting that I did this, and Carl is like, I don't give a shit that you did. Help me. I'm guessing with Carl, he really didn't care because he wanted the Vulcan thing to succeed. I don't know, maybe I think Carl at that point, his brain was messed up or something, or he found something throughout the whole DNA thing to communicate with the Vulcans, to the point that he just wanted to get to the Vulcans. The end, the cliffhanger, as I put in my notes, is an open ending for sure. I did look up a bit, and it is an open ending. So I'm guessing Lumi stayed in the ship, of course, Lumi / Cynthia. Carl and his mission to find the cure thingy that is killing Earth. I don't know. I'm guessing he didn't find that for sure, but maybe he found like another parallel like universe or something that took him again to his family. There's a bunch of Vulcans out there. I don't know. The first thing that came to my mind was that those are a lot of universe, or those are all the tries that they have done to have this, and it always ends up the same thing, which kind of makes sense from the message that Agatha took out to space. Maybe that message is the thing that makes this whole mission starts all over again, and it always probably has the same ending, so probably all those Vulcans are just a lot of calls and all the tries they have had to try and make that mission work. So yeah, that's one thing. Also the Vulcan, didn't get into the Vulcans. We're getting to the Vulcans one. They're not explained properly. The only thing that they tell you is that their own species and they want them to help them get a place for other people on Earth, or at least help them with a cure for the thing that is killing Earth. But other than that, there's nothing else. Like, what is the thing that the Vulcans do? They're not the ones messing with memories, because that was Cynthia. They do a little bit of research, because again, I wanted to understand this so bad, because I felt like there was something in there, but I wasn't getting it. And I found out absolutely nothing. All the explanations was stuff that I was thinking about already. Really, there was not that much there. It was a bunch of, it is an open ending and you can think this on that, but nothing like that. So I'm guessing the open ending is literally for you to make your own conclusion about what this series is about, what is happening, and you make the ending, or you make what you think the ending is, and that's all. So the ending can be kind of different for everybody. Another thing that I found out is that this series was from 2019 and it was cancelled on 2019. There was not a second season made, and I don't think Netflix is going to pick it up to do another season. I'm guessing they just got the rights or something, or was able to upload that to Netflix. I don't know if it's gonna stay forever or if they will take it down at some point. I don't know. By this point, be making this, it's still on Netflix and you can go ahead and watch it. If you have watched this now or before when it came out and you want to share what you think it is about or your ending or something, let me know in the comments below. I'll be hearing it, I'll be reading it, and see if we can all came with like our own ending, or see if we can, I don't know, make it make sense, because it is interesting and I do feel there's something more in there, but the execution was a little bit all over the place for me, and a lot of things thrown at you that doesn't make that much sense, or it wasn't explained properly. There's definitely a lot of videos that I want to do like this, so I hope you all look forward to it. I will try my best to upload more like this this new year, because I really do like it. This is fun. Whenever, even if it is a good series that I watch or not, or it's a confusing one like this one, it is fun to just let it all out and be like, I'm frustrated or I love this. So it is very fun, these videos. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing great, taking care of yourselves, and I will see y'all on the next video. Bye bye.